This is the 6th generation iPad from 2018 and it is running the iPad OS 17. It's got a 9.7 inches display, a chunky 9000 mAh battery, and it's one of the first iPads to support the Apple Pencil. But here is the big question. Is it still worth your hard-earned $150 to $200? Well, stick around until the end of this video and let's dig in to find out together. First of all, when we talk about the design of this iPad from 2018, those chunky top and bottom bezels will remind you of the 5th generation iPad. But that 9.7 inches screen is pretty nice visually, and even though it has those big bezels and all, it doesn't feel too heavy when you are holding it. Yes, those bezels might make this iPad seem old-fashioned in today's era of sleek, all-screen devices, and it might not give you a more immersive experience like the newer iPads with their edge-to-edge displays, but here's the thing, those bezels have a purpose. They make it easier to hold this iPad. Plus, tucked away inside them is the first-gen Touch ID sensor. Yes, you might have to press it a bit harder, but it still works pretty well. Build-wise, it's solid as a rock. Made up of aluminum, both the frame and back have stood the test of time. And those rounded edges make it easier to hold, something you won't find in the newer flatter iPads. So if you are into that classic, rounded edge look, this iPad will make you happy. At the bottom of this iPad, you will find two stereo speakers. And as it was released in 2018, so there was no USB-C. It has that old lightning connector. While these speakers produce decent sound quality, having them both at the bottom means you will only hear sound in one direction, which isn't the most immersive experience. However, there is a headphone jack at the top, so you can always opt for headphones for a more immersive audio experience. Now, despite the somewhat dated appearance of the front bezels, the back of this iPad still exudes sleekness and beauty, especially in this gold color. Ultimately, while the design may feel a bit aged from the front, it remains functional and gets the job done effectively. Up front, we have a 9.7-inch LCD Retina display, boasting a resolution of 2048 by 1536 and a pixel density of 264. Despite being an LCD panel, this display offers vibrant and pleasing saturation, making the content look great. It is sharp enough that at a typical distance, individual pixels cannot be seen with the naked eye. And for most users, this display will more than meet their needs. The colors are vibrant, and with a peak brightness of 600 nits, you will have no trouble using it outdoors in the sun. So for the average user who isn't too deep into the tech specs, it is a fantastic display option. One notable thing is the lack of a laminated display, due to which there is a small air gap between the glass and the screen. This means it doesn't quite feel like you are directly touching the screen. Rather, it feels more like you are hovering just above it. It's hard to describe, but there's a bit of a hollow feel to it. Another aspect to consider is its 60Hz refresh rate, unlike the buttery-smooth 120Hz displays found on the newer iPad Pros. So if you are used to the higher refresh rate on your phone, transitioning back to 60Hz might feel a bit jarring. Nonetheless, considering it's an older tablet, the display still holds up well overall. Now, an added bonus is that this display is compatible with 1st generation Apple Pencil, a feature absent in the previous iPad 5. So if you are into digital art or you are a student looking to handwritten notes, you can do so with the Apple Pencil. Having Apple Pencil support on a tablet that costs less than $200 is something worth noting. Now your next question would be, what about the performance? How is that held up over 6 years? Well, the iPad 6 came with an Apple A10 Fusion chip and 2GB of RAM, the same specs found in the iPhone 7. So in everyday tasks like watching videos, browsing the web, reading the news, and playing light games, there are not any major glitches or slowdowns. While it may take a second or two longer to open apps compared to the newer models, the overall user experience is pretty solid for a 6-year-old tablet. However, heavy-duty games like Call of Duty Mobile or PUBG suffer a lot and may not run properly, as you can see here. But for light, everyday tasks, the performance is commendable. It's not a powerhouse by any means, but it can still handle the basics well. When it comes to the future of the iPad 6, we are not sure if it will receive iPad OS 18 next year or if we will be stuck on the iPad OS 17 indefinitely. However, it won't immediately become obsolete. Even after software support ends, you should still have a fairly smooth experience for another 1 or 2 years. However, over time its functionality will gradually decline. It's worth mentioning that despite running iPad OS 17, WhatsApp is no longer supported on this iPad, and some apps like Instagram may not properly scale, resulting in black borders around them, which looks odd. Anyways, this iPad has all of those multitasking capabilities, allowing you to open 2 apps simultaneously for increased productivity. However, due to the lack of vibration feedback, the typing experience can be subpar. When it comes to battery life, the iPad 6 isn't anything extraordinary, but it should still suffice the majority of users. Of course, with the passage of time, batteries tend to degrade, so many iPad 6 units might have worn out batteries. However, if the iPad hasn't been heavily used or if it has undergone a battery replacement, it should last long enough for light to moderate use. Even for heavy users, there is a good chance it will hold up well, provided the battery is in good condition. During my filming with this iPad, its battery would just not die. So if battery is a priority for you, the iPad 6 is likely to meet your needs. Now wrapping up with the cameras. They are not a major selling point on tablets, since most people rely on their smartphones for photography. However, the ones on the iPad 6 with the 8 megapixels on the rear and 1.2 megapixels on the front suffice for tasks like FaceTime calls and document scanning. In essence, these cameras are more like tools rather than something you would use to capture breathtaking photos. In summary, the iPad 6 offers a good display and a solid battery life and can handle general tasks like watching movies, browsing the web, playing games and more. While it may not be the most feature-proof option for long-term use, it should still serve you well for another 1 to 2 years, even if the software support is discontinued next year. Overall, it's a great choice for those looking for a reliable and budget-friendly iPad. If you found this video helpful or enjoyable, please don't forget to subscribe. You were listening to Harness Tech, and I will see you in the next video.